have a 2022 CF MOTO CFORCE 600 Touring. We're going to take this thing for a little test drive here and give it a whirl, see how it goes. Let's check it out right now. So this is a customer's machine, but they've given me the okay to go ahead and do a test drive video on it, so we're going to do that. This unit is, I said, the 600 Touring, so it's got the nice backrest. This is removable, and then you can run it as a one-up if you want. If you don't want this on the back, it comes with nice wheels and tires. You know what? This thing is a pretty sharp looking machine. I actually really like it. Reminds me of the Can-Am a little bit, but it's also a little different. So this one has the extra bumpers and rear rack extender here. Those do not come on this machine. Little storage unit. But yeah, let's try her out. Alright, so let's go ahead and hop on. First thing I notice when I hop on this thing, it's different than a lot of your newer ATVs like Polaris, Can-Am. The seats, let me get back off this. You can kind of see from the fuel tank back, it kind of swoops. Like Polaris, Can-Am, they're more flat. So that's different. But if you're not used, if you're a first-time ATV buyer, you won't even notice that. This, to me, especially with the big tank, feels more like you're sitting on, some of the older ATVs or a motorcycle. Kind of sits like that a little bit. Anyways, let's go ahead and fire this up. So you get your key switch here, your gear selector, park, reverse, neutral, high, and low. Put it in park. You can start it in gear if you want. You just got to hold the brake. So right here we have shut off. This is run, and then that's your starter button. So this is a little different compared to most ATVs. Usually have a starter button here or on the key switch. It's located with the kill switch. A little different. Takes some getting used to. Let's go ahead and throw this in gear. I like the gated style shifter. Right now we got it in 2-wheel drive. You know what? I like this digital speedometer. It's got everything you want on there. It's got it's got your RPMs, your speed, your odometer. So this has 569 miles. I just did a complete service on this, and you know what? I jacked this thing up. It's I know it's not a lot of miles, but it's still some miles. I jacked this thing up. I was surprised to find there is no play in any of the wheel bearings, zero play in the tie rod ends, anything. Brake pads are barely worn, but that could be the driver. Certain people use them a lot more than others. But so driving this thing, first impression, it's got decent power. However, the clutching is garbage on this. Oh, I'm gonna have to get used to this. Your brake lever is located on the right, which most motorcycles are here because you get your clutch, but a lot of the ATVs that only have one lever are on the left, so it just takes some getting used to. But it doesn't take off smooth. It's like a 2500 RPM engagement, and I don't know. I know that's one of the main complaints on these. I've seen a lot of complaints online about that, and there's clutch kits to fix that. So that's not a huge issue because you can fix it. Power steering is very nice, very easy. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So one nice thing about this is you get a ton of features, and it is affordable, compared to other ATVs. I know some people don't think so, but if you're comparing this to something comparable through Polaris or Can-Am, I'm saying those two because I think those Arctic Cat, I guess. I'm not too familiar with those Haven't been paying attention to the newer ones, but if you're comparing this to a Can-Am or Polaris, the price of this one is $7,500 in 2022. I think they might have bumped it up to $76 for this year, but in 2022 this is $7,500, $74.99. And if you compare that to a Polaris touring, their prices start at $9,500. However, you don't get power steering, you don't get a winch, you don't get anything. That's plain Jane 2-up Polaris 570. And you know, if you jump up to something within this caliber, as far as, you know, your winch, it come with a winch, come with the power steering, all that, you would be talking about the premium version, which retails for it's over 11. I think it's $11,700. So a $4,000 savings with something like this. Can-Am, same idea. We're gonna go ahead, stop talking here for a minute. Low range, I'm gonna try out the full drive system. This has a full drive here. This is something to get used to, but I kind of like it. Full drive, two-wheel drive. So we go to 4, and then we go all the way up. You're still in four-wheel drive, but right here you can lock the front end. Very nice feature. Yeah. Once again, even in low range, I don't like the clutch engagement. It is about 2,500 when that kicks in, and it could be a lot lower. So we have all 4 wheels locked. Shouldn't have a problem getting up this. No problem at all. But I notice a very, very little increase in the steering effort. It's still less effort than a non-power steering model in two-wheel drive, so that tells you something right there. I'll go ahead and put it back into 4 and then 2. Put it in high range because we're going, we don't need to be in low for this. What was I getting at? Oh, Can-Am prices. So Can-Am for this year has made a new lineup of Outlanders, 500 and 700 version, and they're like the economy models, I guess. Now, a 500 and a 700 Can-Am Outlander, these are the cheaper ones, like I was saying, economy models. They retail for, I think, around the same, starting at $9,000 for a base model and low $11,000 for the you know, the premium model, which is an XT. Now, one thing that I find funny with that Can-Am, so it's their new engine. What it is, you know, they got a 500, 700. It's the same engine in both the machines. It's actually a 650cc engine, and they detune it, 40 horsepower for the 500 and 50 horsepower for the 700, and they're both 650cc. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get by this. Well, that'll get us around for now. Alright, and we're through. So, yeah, that 650cc engine, it's a single cylinder engine, which is a little strange for Can-Am. They've, you know, the Rotax engines have always been twins, other than the 400 or the 330 way back. But even the 500cc was a twin cylinder. But I've yet to try out that new single cylinder. I know they started putting it in the Commanders, but yeah. So like we were talking about, I'm gonna go ahead and lock this thing right in because I know we're gonna have a little problem if we don't. But yeah, so yeah, as you can tell, you know, comparing it to other makes, this thing is affordable. Now it's still $7,500, but it's still affordable compared to other models. So I'm gonna go off that and call it a great value. I'm noticing, you know, I'm locked right now, but still unlocked. You're in four-wheel drive. Throw her back in 2. You got a little indicator here that tells you what you're in also. But yeah, so what was I saying? Oh yes, I'm noticing this does not have a great turning radius. I know it's a 2-up and all, but I've had 2-ups. I have 2-ups right now, and they have better turning radius than this. So not sure what that's about, but not too big of an issue when you're on the trail. So we're gonna try out the low range. To me, it seems very, very low, and it could, you know, have to do with that clutching. And we're running low range. We're 5,000. A little hard to see the gauge, but 4,500, 5,000 RPMs right there, doing 15 miles an hour. So I think it's probably good for maybe 20, 25 miles an hour, which is okay. But it just seems like a lot of revs. Seems like it's you'd want to be going a little faster for those RPMs. But that's why we use high range for a good portion of our run, which I'm going to throw it in high range. And we're going to try our downhill engine braking. I don't have too much experience with the CF MOTO brand, but I do know they run the CVTech clutches. I just don't know about the clutching. It just seems so strange. So it does hold back pretty good. We're in high range too. I just want to try it in high range because we know low range obviously would slow us down pretty good. So, yep, it slows down very nice. We're right down to 3 miles an hour with no brakes being applied, and only to the rear wheels. What's nice is it's an actual locking four-wheel drive system, so when you put it in four-wheel drive, it's locked. There's no waiting for tires to spin or anything. So when we go down this hill in four-wheel drive, it's gonna actually give us four-wheel drive engine braking, which is a nice feature. So we haven't gone through a ton of mud, but we've gone through a little bit. So I just want to see how this splash protection is. It looks pretty decent, you know, a little bit on the sides here, not much. So it holds the mud pretty good. Obviously you went bigger tires, wider, you'd get it on you, but these flares really do help. Speaking of which, if any of you know Can-Am's touring models, this looks awfully familiar. It looks just like the Can-Am. And it feels almost the same. Something about it is just a little different. I think the Can-Am's a little more comfortable, but that's just my preference. So we're on the higher speed. This thing it's a little noisy, the engine, probably because of the higher RPMs, but it just seems a little noisy. Good power, you know, get onto it right there. It goes good. This is not my machine, so we are not going to be doing a top speed run, unfortunately. I'm guessing it's around 60 miles an hour, somewhere in there. This is a 45 horsepower engine, so the closest Polaris would be the 570 like I was talking about. That's a 44 horsepower engine, so very close on horsepower. Just the Polaris, well, let me see when we stop this. So from a stop, I know if we take off easy, I don't like the clutching. Let's see if we take off a little more aggressively. Okay, it's got good power, you know, and it grabs quick. So maybe it's just clutched a little too aggressively. But I was going to say the Polaris just seems a lot more smoother. But this thing does go when you give it some throttle. As far as handling, seems to handle very well. It holds the corners good. It's planted. It doesn't want to roll at all. But I also noticed it doesn't want to roll, which means it's a little stiff when you're going over stuff. It's fairly smooth, but you know, I don't know. For $4,000, if you were going to buy a touring machine, this is a nice machine. No, this is not $4,000, but for $4,000 cheaper than a competitive machine. Maybe the other ones are a little better, but heck of a savings on this machine. And they offer a decent warranty. I know they're not as good as they used to. They were offering like a 5-year warranty, then they went down to 4 years. I'm not sure what they're at now, but I don't think it's all that much. But it's more than most competitors, which is only 6 months. So we'll see how it cruises. Like I said, no top speed run, not my machine. Don't want to beat on it too much. But we're going to cruise right here at 40 miles an hour. And you're running 6,000 RPM, so it's a little high for my taste, I think. It goes down the road very nice, smooth. I did 46 there. I got onto it a little bit. So plenty fast enough, plenty of power to do what you need to do. So if I was in the market for one of these, this would definitely be something I would consider. It's a good machine. Thanks for watching, guys.